Welcome back to Cigar Exploration USA. From the thumbnail, you can see I've got a lot going on today. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to explore two cigars at the same time, which I don't see people doing that too often, but there's reasons for it, not just because it's different. And then I figured, well, I'm doing two cigars, I might as well pair two whiskeys with it. And I just happen to have a bottle of Buffalo Trace and a bottle of Eagle Rare, so I thought, get them opened up, get them in glasses, tell everybody about these cigars, and see what we got going on here. See what the differences are, see which one's better. I'm not even sure these are available at this point, so we're just gonna explore together and find out. So these are the Diesel Whiskey Row Founders Collection cigars. This one is the Boxer Grail. So this is their third offering in their line of these, and from what I understand, they only have four. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the third. And then in addition to this one, this is a Toro size. These both only come in Toro size. We're gonna explore this. This is the fourth offering. And this is the Mizunara. So I will go ahead and explain this to everybody. I just want everybody to get a good look at these cigar bands. The top band is the same on each except a different color scheme. Then the bottom band, I mean, same thing, different, different wording, similar style, different colors. So the Mizunara and the Boxer Grail. So why are they called Boxer Grail and Mizunara? So these Boxer Grails are aged in rye whiskey barrels, which is definitely interesting. I have never heard of any cigars aged in rye whiskey barrels. And then even more unique and interesting, these Mizunaras, which is also a really fun name to say, are Japanese whiskey it's a 15-year-old whiskey. So they were put into used barrels of 15-year-old Japanese whiskey. Both of these, if you haven't picked up on it yet, are made by AJ Fernandez in partnership with Rabbit Hole Whiskey. So you've got a rye whiskey aged cigar and a Japanese whiskey aged cigar. I've only been used to bourbon barrel aged. Perdomo comes to mind when I think about bourbon barrel aged. The fact that he ages most of his cigars in used bourbon barrels. So let's see what we got. Let's see if we got a difference in smell. This one's a lot of barnyard. These both kind of smell pretty similar. They're a little different. You can probably just smell the different whiskey. I can't smell rye whiskey. And I have no idea what Mizunara whiskey smells like. But I don't smell much of a difference between these two. Oh, before I go any further, these were also both given to me by Whittleback Cigars. Thank you, sir. He said he gave me these because he knows I'm a big fan of pairing cigars with whiskey. And I just couldn't decide which one of these to smoke to make an exploration video for. So I figured I'll do them both. What the heck? Let's figure this out together. So we're going to take this footband off, get these lit up. We're only going to light one at a time, though. We're not going to light them both at the same time. So the footbands both have a little pull tab on here. That is obviously giving me a hard time right away. So let's get that off there. So that just pulls off like this. You see that there. It's a tough one. This one's tough so far. I thought about taking these off here ahead of time, but I thought, no, it'll be fun to do it all together. All right, so this one's really tough to come off, but it's off, okay? Let's just throw that off to the side. All right, let's take the other footband off a while too. They're really pretty. It's a shame that they're getting wrecked, but they won't slide off, which is a sign of good humidity. It means the cigars aren't too dry, but they're just getting destroyed. That one did a little better. Let me show you this one up close at least. So you see there, the Mizunara one's a little prettier, so it's nice that one didn't get completely destroyed. These are Toro size. It's the only size they come in. The first two, the first one was a bourbon barrel aged. It came in boxes of 20. Second one was a sherry cask aged, or sherry cask, and came in boxes of 20. And they also had like about 3 sizes each. These two offerings just came in boxes of 10, and only one size, a Toro size, about $16 a piece. So let's get our lighter. Hopefully we didn't forget that. So really interesting. I'm going to put a V cut on both of these. Really interesting cigars. I've had bourbon, barrel-aged cigars, but never rye or Mizunara. So let's get a cut. We're just going to V cut them both, like I said. So Whittlebacks gave me these. He had a sticker on them. It said 2023, so I have to assume that's when he obtained these cigars, when he got them. So these are from 23. They've been sitting in a nice humidified location for quite some time now, so it's time to smoke these and figure out what's going on with them. All right, both great V cuts on them. All right, so let's go ahead and light this, get it toasted up, I should say. Cold draw first, actually. Let's do a cold draw on both before we light either one. Boxer Grail, rye whiskey, Mizunara. I'm just going to be honest, like I always am. There's no reason for me not to be. I don't notice much difference. And we could go into the specifics on where the tobaccos are from. You can look that up. All right, so a little difference now that I went back and forth. I still don't get much rye whiskey or other whiskey, so to speak. Like I don't get whatever this is, this Japanese whiskey. Okay. So what counts? Does the cold draw count, or does what we get on it when we fire it up count? So let's go ahead and go for it. Obviously, these whiskeys have been sitting in these glasses for a little bit now, just getting aired out. I've had them both before. They're both fantastic. I suspect we're going to like one more than the other one, which should kind of be a little obvious. However, it's personal preference. Some people are going to like the one I don't like more, so we'll see. Let's get it toasted up. From what I can tell online, these cigars are not available anymore either, so I apologize if I get you really intrigued and then you can't find these. I'm not sure what Whittlebacks did. I'm pretty sure he bought these in boxes of 10. From watching his channel so much, I can't remember everything that he does on there, but if I'm not mistaken, he did unbox these on his channel. And if I'm also not mistaken, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Whittlebacks, but he didn't actually care for them very much either. So I'm hoping that's not the case with me. I'm hoping my love of whiskey kind of helps these cigars along a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to smoke the first inch of this one, and we're going to light the other one. My rules may get broken here. This cigar might go out in the middle of smoking it, which has never happened to me before when I'm making a video. Ooh. So, as you can tell, I did research these cigars a little bit. However, I could not find like tasting notes on here. I didn't dig to the deepest, darkest ends of the internet to try, but I wasn't able to find anything about these. So we're just going off of basically what I think. There's no influence as far as what these taste like, other than that I know rye and Mizunara. Okay, so earth leather, some cocoa, a little bit of spice on the retro. So far though, nothing that's outlandish, or outstanding. But of course we just lit this thing up, so. Maybe getting some fruit. Pretty good amount of spice on the retro there too. It's nice retro on it though. I'm getting the fruit on the retro as well as just the regular draw. It's gonna be a little noisy here. You got a trash collection coming on. He's gonna be behind me first, and then he pulls around the block and gets the people in front of me. So I apologize if the noise bothers anybody. I got lots of comments on my complaints about the noise, and everybody just said, that's just life. Don't worry about it. stop complaining so much, and I would agree with all of you. You're all 100% correct. If you can't control something, why let it affect you? Let it bother you, right? All right, so this is certainly not a bad cigar. This is certainly giving me stuff. It's not bland. It's not boring or anything like that. But man, they sure are selling this thing with all the hype around the collaboration with that company and the, never aged. No cigar's ever been aged in a rye barrel before. I don't know if that's true, but the way they made it sound on the internet, that's what they were trying to say. Like, hey, we're the first ones to do this. This is unique. This is a unique process. This is something special. If I bought this cigar at a lounge, I paid $16 for it, I wouldn't be upset I wouldn't be either. I would just go, okay, it's an overpriced diesel cigar. So far, we've got a lot of time on this thing. Just giving you my initial thoughts on this light up. I would just say it's probably not worth 16, but what do you expect? You buy into the hype and all that stuff. So, all right, let's put this guy down somewhere here. We literally have half as much room as we normally do. I know that math isn't working out, but it's close. It feels like we have half as much room as we normally do. All right. Is this guy going to do something different? Let's find out. And in case anybody watching this is wondering, will I smoke both these cigars? The answer is yes. Whether they are fantastic, mediocre, whatever they are, or bad, they'll both get smoked. Like I said, they were generously given to me. I doubt anything's going to make me waste any of this. Whether I smoke them both completely on this video or not is to be seen, and we'll see how things go here. But they'll definitely both get smoked today. Whether they go out and get relit later or whatever happens, there'll be no waste here. All right, so looking at the camera and singeing my cigar a little bit. Not too much, just a little. V-cuts on these guys are literally perfect. In case anybody was wondering, they both look the same. I'll show you the other one then. The V-cut's perfect on it. It's a nice feeling cigar, good bounce back. Okay, this one's different. Yeah, this one tastes different. All right, so, again, I just lit this thing up, right? Everybody watching this is probably screaming at me going, you're not going to get what you're going to get out of it right away. And you're right, but there's differences between the two for sure. And that was honestly the main focus of this was, are these cigars that similar with just different cigar bands and different stories, or are they different? Are they really different? And they're definitely different. Definitely more sweetness on this one for sure. But back to that kind of standard sort of earth. A lot of leather and sweetness, like a sweet leather on this one. But earthiness, see if we get a spice on the retro. I'd say pretty equal spice on the retro. Yeah, I like that sweet leather. That's nice. Yeah, that's really nice. Really interesting. Yeah, really interesting here. Interesting doesn't always mean good. I definitely expected more from both of them. I expected more because of the whiskey barrel aging. I don't know, maybe I just put Perdomo on a pedestal, but I just feel like I can really tell his stuff was aged in a bourbon barrel, where I'm questioning whether or not I would really even know that these were aged in whiskey barrels or not. Like if it wasn't written all over it, um, if it wasn't advertised as such, I just think these might not tell me that from smoking them. I think so far I like this one a little bit better. How much better? I'm not really sure. All right. Now let's do the side-by-side comparison. Let's cleanse our palate real quick. Hopefully that Boxer Grail stays lit. So we're going to start with Buffalo Trace, just because I think Buffalo Trace is a little bit of a lesser whiskey than the Eagle Rare. Caramel, vanilla, honey, apricot. Oh, wow. That's good. Cherry, brown sugar. A touch of leather, but that could be from the cigar. Just oak and honey and caramel. I mean, how can you complain about Buffalo Trace? That is definitely the bourbon drinker's bourbon. It's like a more smooth, more laid back version of Wild Turkey 101. All right, so far we're still lit. That's a good sign. Wow, this thing got really dry after that whiskey. Got really smoky and dry, which I know I'm smoking a cigar. You're like, no kidding, there's smoke, but it's real smoky and dry, like I licked an ashtray. All right, a little bit of sweetness came in there. Again, it's just not a bad cigar. Just kind of thought I'd get a little bit more out of it. All right, so we're going to go back to the Buffalo Trace to go to the Mizunara because of having the same whiskey with each one. I don't want to go to the Eagle Rare yet. I'm going to do that on the second round, so to speak, of that. By the way, both whiskeys I really like a lot. They're both from Buffalo Trace's #1 mash bill. The basic difference that I can tell between the two is that the Eagle Rare is aged 10 years, where the Buffalo Trace is aged probably 4 to 6. I think that's the difference between the two of them. I think that's why, if you haven't picked up on this yet, I'm a bigger fan of the Eagle Rare. It's also more expensive than the Buffalo Trace. If you're just talking about MSRP, you're talking about $30 on the Buffalo, Eagle, $40. At least where I'm at in Pennsylvania, which they're never for sale, but when they are, it's 30 and 40. Yeah, it's just cherry, caramel. It's just so much. It gives you so much for the price point. It's just really good. I mean, there's just nothing to complain about there whatsoever, especially for $30. Both 90 proof, by the way, 45% alcohol. Which for anybody who's had Eagle Rare, like a single barrel of Eagle Rare, or a store pick, or anything that had a higher proof, man, what a shame that they make that 90 proof, because if they just let that thing be 100 proof, it would just be a killer all day. It still is pretty damn good, as we're going to find out. Yeah, the Mizunara is a little better. Mizunara doesn't give me that dry ashtray, stale smoke situation. And I know what a lot of people are going to say or could say, and they do say this in some of my videos. I smoke fast. I don't give the cigar enough time to relax. But, you smoke how you smoke. I'm a little bit of a quick smoker. Mizunara is giving me more fruit. I don't know if my brain's playing, tricking me. Part of this because the Mizunara is aged in a 15, and is put in a barrel that had 15-year-old whiskey in it, as opposed to the rye, which is not age stated. It just says it's Boxer Grill rye whiskey, which is made by Rabbit Hole. I'm assuming that's not a 15-year age product, or they would have said that. I didn't look that up. I had one Rabbit Hole, the Derringer, which I didn't really care for, the sherry cask. I thought it was really weak compared to some other things, especially compared to other things, but in general, it was just pretty weak. I think just right now, if anybody is looking for a quick, and this ain't really quick, but the Mizunara might be worth it. That might be worth $16 a stick. And if you can get it for less than that, I certainly think it would be worth it. Okay, so Eagle Rare on the nose. Whew. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. For a $40 bottle of whiskey, man. Just citrus. Just orange peel, cherry, lemon maybe. Like a little bit of marshmallow. Like toasty marshmallow maybe, like a little bit of the brown marshmallow when you put it on a fire. All right, let's drink it. Oh my. Just toasted brown sugar and just sweet oak. A slight little bubblegum flavor, toffee. And again, I'm getting the leather on it, just like I did on the Buffalo Trace. Like in the best possible way, like a sweet leather. These two are just incredible value if you can get them at MSRP, in my opinion. I really like the Buffalo Trace stuff. I mean, you guys, if you watch my videos, you see I love Blanton's. That's about $80. I think, don't tell anybody I said this, but I think I would take 2 Eagle Rares over a Blanton's. I mean, I guess if I had, if you said that one bottle of drink, the rest of your life, I'm going to take the Blanton's, obviously. But if you're talking about money-wise, 2 Eagle Rares for me all day. I just think it's a phenomenal product for the price. I just wish the proof was a little higher. I had some stuff one time that the proof was a little higher. So there's that, again, that like smoky kind of ashy dryness in this one. And that could easily be the rye, Maybe that's what happens when you put a cigar in a rye barrel, a used rye barrel. You get that kind of, maybe the rye spice is sort of translating to the smoky dryness. I don't really know. I don't have a lot to go off of. Like I said, never smoked a rye barrel aged cigar before. I'll be honest though, too. I'm really happy that. Well, I don't expect the ash to hang on when you're smoking a cigar like this. So I'm not going to blame the cigar for the ash falling off like that. That was my fault. But again, starting things out with a giant mess here. Okay. So I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't have any other. I never smoked another rye cigar. But like I was saying, I am glad that these. I'm going to ash this one because I'm not doing that again. But I do like that, if I had to pick 2 out of the 4 between the bourbon barrel aged, the sherry, the rye, and the Mizunara, I'm glad that these are the 2 I'm exploring, comparing, whatever. These seem like 2 pretty unique ones where I've had sherry casks stuff and I've had bourbon barrel aged. Yeah, like a lot of like sweet leather on this one, which I do enjoy. And again, though, I can't say the cigar is bad. It's not a bad cigar. Although I haven't had too many cigars that I think are bad. So, yeah. I mean, I'd say if you can find these and you can get them for a decent price, I just think that these aren't around anymore, from what I understand. They were a limited release. All right, so that's kind of try to do this a different way. We did the rye. Instead of calling it Boxer Grail, I'm just going to call it rye. And this one I'm going to keep calling Mizunara because I really like how that sounds. Mizunara. Let's go back to the Buffalo Trace first with the Mizunara. I mean, the fact that these cigars are marketed to be enjoyed with whiskey just makes me think you should go back and forth and compare them like that. Yeah, I actually really enjoy that one. I think that one's really good. I just don't really care for that kind of dryness this cigar gives me. It's just a lot of dryness on the back of my tongue. And now the Buffalo Trace, unfortunately for it, it's not its fault, but it has taken like a giant back seat to the Eagle Rare as far as the profile, the quality of it. It feels thinner. It doesn't taste or finish as nice as the Eagle Rare. Yeah, I just don't really care for that smokiness in there. Some people might really like that. Hopefully somebody's watching this because this whole thing is about exploration. Hopefully somebody's watching it and they go, wow, I didn't know, that cigar had that smoky quality to it. And I like smokiness in my cigars. And not the smoke, the kind of effect of the smoke, if that makes sense. It's very unique. It's really unique. I don't know how many cigars I've had that have that smokiness that rye cigar has. All right, so now the Eagle Rare, which, it's just amazing. It's just amazing, just fruit, just cherries and oranges and even like a little bit of lemon zest. And that marshmallow on the nose. Which is just toasty brown sugar and sweet oak. Got bubblegum and toffee. A little bit of leather. This is so good. See, now I get fruit on the cigar. I think I mentioned that in the beginning. On the Mizunara, I was getting a little bit of fruit flavor. I'm getting fruit. And again, I have nothing to really compare it to. If you've had these sticks, leave me a comment. What are you guys drinking? What are you guys smoking? Let me know. Let me know if you've had these, what you think about them. What you think about these whiskeys. Which one's your favorite? Yeah. That stuff. Oh man. So, quick story. My local liquor store, my Pennsylvania liquor stores, which there's 5 close to me, but there's really like 7 or 8. But some of them aren't really worth the trip, so I don't usually mention those other 2 or 3 that are kind of not worth it. Some graham cracker there? Sure, why not? Yeah, why not? Why not some graham cracker on this cigar that I didn't get? Now, again, we're still probably in the first third of both of these cigars, so. Oh, back to my story. So So my local liquor stores, unbeknownst to me, of course, and my network of friends and family also didn't let me know about this, which, to be honest, kind of disappoints me a little bit. But they had these two and Buffalo Trace recently, and Blanton's recently, in liquor stores near me, and I didn't know about it for about 2.5 days. And then when I went looking, no Blanton's and no Eagle Rare, just Buffalo Trace. But, you know, in the spirit of not being sort of hoarder or, I don't know, whatever word you would have put in there, extra, I don't need them. I had a bottle of Eagle Rare, which I just opened today, and I had a bottle of Blanton's, which I opened a couple weeks ago. So it's not like I missed out and I don't have them. It would have pissed me off if I didn't have them, though, I'll be honest with you. But it would have been nice to have a backup bottle. But it is what it is. Yeah. Sorry, Buffalo Trace. You are good on your own. But when you compare to Eagle Rare, Eagle Rare is just a step above. It just is. It's just a little bit better. And I'm sure if I would have dragged the bottle of Blanton's out here, Eagle Rare would be in second place. It just is what it is. You know, you've just got a distiller. You know, Sazerac owns Buffalo Trace, but Buffalo Trace is doing all its own distilling, and it just is what it is. I think the Eagle Rare has more age. It's an age-stated whiskey, 10 years. Buffalo Trace is not. I think Buffalo Trace, in my opinion, can't be aged more than 6 years. It's just too thin to be aged longer than that. It doesn't even talk about the filtration of these things, as far as I know. It doesn't even talk about the filtration. They're real secretive about their mash bill. I think that the mash bill has very little rye in it. And I think that's just based off of the flavor profile. It's just, you can't get any rye spice out of that as hard as you try. So I just don't think either one has a very high rye content. Mizunara. Yeah, I like this Mizunara. That thing's pretty good. I realized about 5 minutes ago that it is going to really look like I'm smoking fast, considering I'm trying to smoke 2 cigars at once. I did one time on this channel smoke 2 cigars at once. It was an accident. It just occurred to me to try it. I had a Quorum and a Perdomo. I think the Perdomo was the champagne and the Quorum was the shade grown. And I was comparing the two of them, and I was comparing their pricing. I think I was saying something along the lines of you could get four of the Quorums for the price of one of the Perdomos. And I was saying, what would you rather? Would you rather have 4 of the Quorums or one of the Perdomos? It's the same situation as with the whiskeys right now. I mean, of course, you'd rather have a Perdomo and an Eagle Rare all day, but, you know, would you rather have multiple cigars? It just depends. It's an opinion thing. I just like to talk about it. I've always talked about it on my channel from the time I started in budget cigar land to where I'm at now, where I'm smoking things that aren't quite budget, but also aren't extremely insane. Whittlebacks has provided me with some of the most expensive cigars I've ever smoked. I don't think I would ever buy 2 of these Whiskey Rows and compare them at $16 a piece. $32 for these 2 cigars together. It's just not really my style. I might have explored one of them. I just thought it made sense, just from the standpoint of this channel and how I try to present things on here, to try them both at the same time. I don't regret it. I think it was a good way to go. I think it was a good thing to do, to compare these two. This one matches my jacket a little more, but again, that doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I've never in my, the ash keeps falling off this one too. The ash just fell in the ashtray as I sat it down. I think comparing these is a good way to sort of look at the differences between them, as well as maybe the value. They're both the same price, as far as I could tell. About $160 a box, which translates, 10 in a box to $16 a cigar. I am smoking a little faster than I would like. Just to keep them both lit. I really don't want to have to relight them. It may at some point come down to that. Maybe it makes sense to let them go out and relight them and just see what it's like to do that, since I don't usually relight cigars on here. Yeah, sweetness, sweet leather, a little bit of fruit. Obviously, the stuff you're going to get from most every cigar, the earth, I mean, I haven't had too many cigars that I didn't get kind of an earthiness, kind of like if you took dirt and just kind of rubbed it in your hands and then kind of inhaled it, not the actual dirt, but the smell of the dirt. That's what you get for me, that's what earth is. I love how my hands smell when I smoke cigars. It smells so good. Yeah, the Eagle Rare is just Buffalo Trace on steroids. That's all it is. It's the only difference you're getting there. It's just a bigger, bolder Buffalo Trace. And for $10 more, I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you had both these in front of you, always go for the Eagle Rare. Always. I think even if you're mixing this, I think even if you're making mixed drinks, Eagle Rare would be the way to go. It just has more depth. I don't get the bubblegum on the Buffalo Trace. I get it on the Eagle Rare, which is a big deal. Bubblegum is a really sought after, at least for me, is a sought after attribute, a tasting note. Let's see here. I mean, they look almost the same in the glass. I could argue that the Eagle Rare looks a little darker. Could just be my brain playing tricks on me. But it seems like Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare. You be the judge. I mean, I can almost definitively tell Eagle Rare has more color. That isn't necessarily a thing that matters, but it probably is a result of its age. It's aged a little more, and so it makes sense. I forget which cigar I put down first. Eeny, meeny, miny. All right, let's just go. Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm a broken record at this point, but the Mizunara offers a lot more than the Boxer Grill, for sure. I think it's interesting too that they changed it from boxes of 20 and having 3 or more sizes to now boxes of 10 and having one size. They may have learned something from the first 2 releases. Maybe the first 2 releases they realized, I'm just going to show you this V-cut on this one, not that anybody really cares, but so you can see, perfect V-cut. Perfect little V-cut on there. So, I mean, I think maybe they learned something in the process of this. They realized it's easier, maybe even better for everybody involved to sell boxes of 10 in one size as opposed to boxes of 20. Because when I looked at it online, it looks like the first release, which was the bourbon barrel aged, is still available, but I can't find the second release, the sherry cask. or the third, which is the Boxer Grill, the rye, or the fourth, which is the Mizunara Japanese whiskey. Either way, I'm really enjoying myself. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad I can at least explore these and give my opinion on which one I think is better. It wasn't obvious which cigar was going to be better, but Mizunara is a little better, and the Eagle Rare, which was obvious from the beginning to me, was going to be a little bit better. I think I'd purchase the Mizunara cigar in a lounge if they have them. But if I was at somebody's house or I was hanging out with friends or whatever situation you put yourself in, I wouldn't be disappointed to be handed either one. I think they're nice. I think I'd be more inclined and a little bit sort of happier to have purchased the Mizunara over the Boxer Grill. But again, if you like that smoky sort of almost charcoal flavor, then go for the rye, go for the Boxer Grill. If you like the sweeter, more kind of leathery, sweeter, fruity leatheriness, go for the Mizunara. It makes me want to try the whiskey. It makes me want to try the Mizunara 15-year aged whiskey. So I may do some research after I'm done filming this video and put information in the description on whether or not these cigars are still available, and exactly maybe what these whiskeys cost, if the whiskeys are even still available. I have no idea. I have no idea if the Boxer Grill Rye or the Mizunara Japanese is still available. But they're unique. They're both unique, just a lot different from each other for sure. As opposed to these whiskeys, which are not really that unique, considering you've got a lot of different offerings from Buffalo Trace. And then, I just think that the Eagle Rare is just basically a step above. It's just a little bit better than the Buffalo Trace. I don't know. 25% higher price tag, though. You be the judge. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. A little bit of rubber there. A little bit of tire rubber. Which happens to me sometimes. Don't take a crap on the cigar just because I found rubber in it. Because I don't know if that's my palate, but I sometimes get rubber on cigars. Yeah, the Buffalo Trace products, really unique. So the most I paid for a pour of each of these in a bar, I paid $12 for a pour of Buffalo Trace, which is a little outrageous, but listen, you want to pour Buffalo Trace? It's $12. I paid $22 for a pour of Eagle Rare, which could be even more egregious. If you're working out the percentages, and I've also, the least I paid for Buffalo Trace was $8 a pour, and the least I paid for Eagle Rare was $10. So that seems a little more in line, obviously, than 12 and 22. But it just depends on where you're at. When I paid the high price for the Eagle Rare, I was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at a casino. So what do you expect? What do you think you're gonna, it's not gonna be $10 there. And when I paid $10 for it, it was at a fire company. I mean, pretty simple math there. If you've watched my channel, you see sometimes I go to Eagles games. I'm at the Eagles tailgate, and I was watching this young kid. Young kid for me is like a 25 and under, and he's walking around. There was cigars laying on it. I might have told this story. I don't think so though. There's cigars sitting on a table. You know, it's a real sort of fruitful tailgate. They got a lot of good food, a lot of good whiskeys, a lot of good cigars, and so there's a table like full of like cigars, and it's like, oh, just grab a cigar or smoke it if you want. And I bring my own everywhere I go, but I might have, you know, grabbed one here or there from the table to try something new. And I was seeing this kid, and he was smoking 2 cigars at the same time, and not like this, not like this. I'm talking about had them both in his mouth at the same time. And then after he turned green, about a half hour later, he just disappeared. I think he just got sucked into the abyss and just went probably somewhere to take a nap, because even me, smoking 2 cigars at once, this is honestly a little much, as it should be. It's not something that you really want to do on a regular basis, and definitely not something you want to do when you're kind of in a strange land. And, you know, probably put one in your pocket, smoke one, then smoke the other one. But hey, I'm not his dad, so I can have my opinions, but he certainly didn't hear him. I didn't say anything to him. But I'm not kidding. He did disappear. Like, just vanished. Like he went into some void somewhere, which is funny to me. I've seen people do that similarly with THC. Everybody vapes THC now. And I've seen people vape THC and also disappear. Like they left the planet. So maybe that happened to him with just 2 cigars. Man, Eagle Rare. Such a great nose. Man. It just hits. It hits when you first put it in your mouth. It just keeps hitting the whole way. With that bubblegum, that toffee, that sweet leather, toasted brown sugar, just keeps dumping. And it's just so nice. And the Buffalo Trace is similar. You know, you get brown sugar on Buffalo Trace, you still get leather, and you get wood on both, but it just dissipates a little less or a little more. Just, you know, it goes away a little more, and just doesn't quite have the finish that the Eagle Rare has. Eagle Rare is just amazing. It's an amazing finish on that whiskey. Finish is amazing, I should say. Not finished whiskey. Finish is amazing. So Whittlebacks, if you're still watching, let me know if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure you said that in one of your videos that these cigars were kind of underwhelming to you and you maybe didn't care for them that much. I'm curious to see what you think about my comparison. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I assessing these cigars correctly? Do I get that smoky kind of ashiness, or did you get the smoky kind of ashiness that I get on the rye, the Boxer Grill? Yeah, dry and smoky, sweet and leathery. Dry and smoky, sweet and leathery. Sure. Yeah. And listen, anybody out there that wants to complain about how fast I'm smoking these, you have a valid point. I am smoking these way too fast. We're into the, almost 50 minutes into the video. I didn't like these cigars until we were, 10 minutes in almost? So I am smoking these fast. You're 100% right if you're out there thinking this guy is blasting these cigars. Normally I wouldn't smoke them like this, or as fast, I should say. But for this sort of experiment, this exploration, I feel like it's necessary. I don't really want to let these go out. So it is a little quick. You should probably get, I'd say, even for a decently quick smoker, about an hour each on here. I mean, we're probably at a 40-minute mark. We're probably going to get an hour, smoke time for these, but I'm smoking 2 cigars at once and smoking them in an hour. So you're right. You're 100% right. This may not be a completely true, fair assessment of each one because of the amount of, how quick I'm smoking them. But this is an interesting experiment, exploration of these two cigars. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty fascinating to do it like this. I don't anticipate doing this like this in the future. And like I said, if Whittlebacks didn't give me these two, and I was literally staring at them like last week going, all right, which one should I explore? Because I'm not going to explore them separate. And I was like, you know what? To me, it just made sense to explore them together. Just check them out together and see if you can tell the difference. And you definitely can tell the difference. I mean, they're not the same cigar with a different, foot band and cigar band on them. They are totally different cigars, offering different things for sure. They may have a baseline similarity, being that they're diesel cigars with similar, fillers, but the leaves that were aged, and I think it's the binder leaves that are aged in the barrels, are definitely unique. There's definitely a difference. You could blind me on these two, so you could take the cigar bands off these two and do the old switcheroo, and I'd be able to tell for sure which one is which. They have a distinct personality profile to each one, just like the whiskeys. And that was the whole point of this. Both these whiskeys are good. I knew one was better. I didn't have to prove it to myself, but I did, just from exploration right now. And then the cigars, really, really similar situation where one's just a little bit better. However, the cigars are priced the same, where the whiskeys are not. So take that for what you will. I'm a little sad this one's going to be gone. This one's really good. You could play a drinking game with this exploration video. Every time I say Mizunara, Japanese, Boxer Grill or Rye, you could take a drink. You're going to be real drunk because I've said it quite a bit, but really interesting. I'm going to try to enjoy the last third of these. I'm going to say these are about into the last third. I kind of don't consider the nub part of the measurement for the cigar. Some cigars I smoke to where they're almost burning my lips because they're just that good. So, but I think for these, good comparison being in the last third. I think it's a pretty fair assessment of them. Just like I think these whiskeys is a pretty fair assessment. I'm just a really big fan of that Eagle Rare. I can't really, in good conscience, ever say the Eagle Rare is a bad value, a bad choice, a bad anything. It's just a really good whiskey. A full traces, like I said, it's a little thinner, but hey, $30 a bottle. I mean, it's an awesome, awesome bottle to have on your shelf for mixers. And even the Eagle Rare, I think for $40. I mean, with the way whiskeys are now, it seems like good whiskey nowadays starts at $100 a bottle. I mean, to have something that has a 10-year age statement for $40, give me a comment. Can you really go wrong? I mean, maybe these are kind of played out for, lack of a better term. I'm using a term from the 90s, played out. But, they've been explored and reviewed and talked about for years and years and years. And I would almost be willing to bet money that this Mizunara is the best of the four. And I really didn't know what I was going to think. Like, I didn't think just because this was a 15-year barrel that this was going to be better. I really did give them sort of a fair judgment, exploration. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Like I said, it's tough for me. I haven't met many whiskeys or cigars I didn't like. But I think at this point, 2 years in or whatever this is at this point, I can sort of evaluate these fairly, give you a fair assessment of them. It's just definitely, I almost want to say, so I did a Scotch tasting recently, and I almost want to say this one has like a little bit of a peatiness, but it's not in a, it's not, if it was aged in a Scotch barrel, I would be like peatiness, but it must be the rye that gives it that little quality that I'm talking about. I like it, or I dislike, I should say this, I dislike it less and less as we go here. Into this final third, I dislike the smoky, sort of ashy, charcoaliness less. It's starting to kind of grow on me a little bit. Interesting. It's a very interesting cigar. I'll stick with my original, first inch light up on both of them. I think that this one has sort of more of an acquired taste. The Boxer Grail Rye has more of an acquired taste than the Mizunara Japanese whiskey one. I think this one's a little bit more sort of unique, but not necessarily in a good way, where the Mizunara is a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, is more approachable. It's a more approachable cigar. I think this one has a more of an acquired sort of taste. If you're into the smoky and, dare I say, peatiness, then maybe this one. I think overall value, though, and I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I'm just kind of really trying to hammer it home for myself and for you. Yeah. Both interesting, both unique in their own way. I'm glad I got to try them. It really is, I'm really grateful that I got to try both these cigars. They're both really interesting. Let me comment. Let me know what you think. I hate to say this because I know a lot of people like these videos, but this may be my last sort of long video. It just doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. If you love these long videos, leave me a comment. Tell me, say, keep making them. We really love them. But I just feel like most people nowadays are really into the shorts and those kind of videos, and really like that they're sort of quick and easy. These longer videos are a lot more work to make, and I have no problem with that because I've said before, I really enjoy these videos a lot, the longer ones. But it just doesn't seem like people really have a taste for these anymore. Really, it's just kind of like the shorts are the way to go. Leave me a comment, though. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I'm really interested to hear from you guys. As always, I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to smoke these down to the bands. I don't think my opinion's going to change. If it does, I will let you know. And either way, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves and each other. Cheers.